Welcome to the East Brunswick Township Council Candidate Profiles. I'm your host, Angus Kress Gillespie. On November 6th, you will elect 3 people to represent you on the Township Council. The seats are for 4-year terms. In this program, I'll speak one-on-one with each of the 6 candidates. We hope that these profiles will help you to become more familiar with the candidates. Stay with us. Joining me now is Camille, candidate for Town Council. Tell me a little bit about your personal history here in East Brunswick.
Well, I and my family moved to East Brunswick about 1984, and except for a few short here and there breaks, been a resident here ever since. Moved around in town to a few different places, and now I have a modest home in the President Street section. I am retired from the federal government. I worked a 30-year career, mostly with Homeland Security, as a customs import specialist. That job took me traveling overseas to do enforcement for transshipment of goods. I was involved in a few criminal investigations. It was extremely rewarding up until 9/11, and then I was there that day, and it kind of took a little steam out of me, so I retired when I was able to. Here in town, I've become quite active. I'm a member of the East Brunswick Women's Club, which is a marvelous, marvelous group of women that they don't know when to stop giving and doing for the community, which is a great thing. I just recently joined the VFW Auxiliary, and that's based upon my father's foreign service. My brother served foreign. My husband did not, and so I had to pull out my dad's. It's not a DD-214, whatever it is. Yeah. But I enjoy doing what I can for the veterans.
Camille, why did you decide to run for public office?
Well, I've been in office for 9 years now as a councilwoman, but initially it was my mouth. I was attending council meetings. I didn't like some of the policies that were being done back then. And when I was able to, after I retired from federal service, when I was able to run for office, I did. And I've been here.
And what are your goals for the position?
The goals, it's more for the town. It's for the township and not for the position. There's a lot going on in East Brunswick in terms of development, and I think we're getting to a critical mass point in the township where we're a commuter community, basically a residential community with a business artery of Route 18 running through us, but we're not a city. And with the redevelopment that involves some large areas of housing, and with the development that's going on, it seems every empty acre of land here in town, but high-rise, high-density, we're going to become a city. And so how do you balance the needs of people that want to live like the people in East Brunswick have traditionally lived when it's just a limited amount of space? But how do you, new people are coming in and they deserve a chance as well.
So this is perhaps the biggest challenge. Are there other challenges we should be dealing with?
Well, there are some things that are going by the wayside that we have to start looking at very seriously. We have an aging infrastructure. We have a water system that constantly is chronically, we're doing water repairs all over the place. And part of it is the weather, yes, but a lot of it is due to the age of the system. And we have to be able to constantly be working and upgrading all of that. One of the other challenges that we're going to have is if we go through with all of this housing that's coming in, and a lot of it was generated by the COA, the affordable housing, the state, it's going to put a horrendous burden on our public schools. Yeah. And taxes. And
that leads to my next question. What do you envision for the future of East Brunswick?
In reality or la land, because there's a big difference. The future, I would like to see our way of life maintained. I would like to see us remain basically single and double family homes, garden style apartments, which are lovely places. I would like to see the schools maintain their reputation and enhance it. There are so many things. I'd love to see Route 18 revitalized, and there's a good chance of accomplishing all of this if we all work together.
And how can government achieve these goals?
It's not so much government and how government can achieve these goals. I'm supposed to be the representative of the people. And when I sit there like the Maytag repairman and nobody calls, it's up to the people to get out and make their voices heard, either through their elected officials or individually as a group. We saw that with one housing development that the developer backed off because the public came out en masse and said, why are you doing this here in this location?
How would you describe your philosophy in terms of local government?
Government should provide roads and safety, be it police and fire. They should provide free education. They should provide a vibrant library. They should leave charity to the people who are inclined to be charitable. We should support those endeavors, but we should not be the nanny for people. We should not lead them by the hand.
Fair enough. And why are you the best candidate for this office?
I'm the best candidate because I'm the one that's here. I'm the one that's put my mouth where my philosophy is, and I'm willing to be able to speak out against things. I try to stay honest, even when it's harmful to me. You can expect a straight answer from me.
Would you like to mention your family?
That's always a dangerous thing. No, my family is now, it's my son who recently married. He's in his 40s. And at home, I've got my two puppies, a little dachshund and a really old Jack Russell Terrier. My husband, unfortunately, I lost him about 1.5 years ago. And along with my mom and my older brother, it's been kind of a tough road lately, but it's okay.
And is there anything else you'd like to add?
What I don't think I can strive enough that the people have to get out. They have to vote. They have to clearly show their support. Don't complain after the fact. But when you've got gifts, be sure to be grateful. So all I'd like to add is God bless us all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
I'm here with Kevin McAvoy, candidate for Town Council. Let's get started. Tell us a little bit about your background in East Brunswick.
Well, I came to East Brunswick in 1977 when I got some very good news in the summer of '77 when then principal of Hammersholt Junior High School, Joe Josefowitz, Mr. J, as we called him affectionately, because there was that professional affection, called me up and said, Kevin, I have a job for you here at the school. And so I found myself teaching at Hammersholt Junior High School from 1977 until 1986. Got a transfer on my choosing up to the high school since I was coaching the varsity track team at that time. Got transferred up to the high school for the school year 86-87. Remained teaching until remained there till 2012 when I retired. Upon retirement, ran for the Board of Education. Brought the eyes that I had acquired for 36 years of service to the community to the board. 2 terms on the board, and then when then Mayor Stahl took a position as a judge in Woodbridge and he could not hold those 2 positions, the town council decided that I would become the mayor. I was the mayor for the fiscal year of 2016. Returned to retirement in 2017, and then when the council availability came, I decided to get back into the mix, and here we are sitting with you.
Okay. So what are your goals for the position?
Okay. With regard to the goals, I think the overall picture is the quality of life for all of the residents. I find it very heartening that Mayor Cohen has had a zero tax increase this past year, and therefore paramount to me will be to maintain that zero tax increase so that it doesn't affect the residents' pocketbooks in any way, while at the same time maintaining the excellent services that we have. And I think the primary service, because I don't think time will allow me to go through the litany of all of the services, but the big one is public safety. When I was on the Board of Education, and prior to that I would always preach that the reason people move to East Brunswick is because of the schools. Then when I became the mayor and I understood all of the intricacies of what goes on in public safety, I changed my tune and made the police department and public safety #1 and schools #2. So the pocketbook of all the residents, as well as maintaining the services, I guess would be the two primary goals that I have when working with the council and the mayor.
Well, that leads to my next question. What are the biggest challenges facing East Brunswick today?
Okay, with regard to challenges, there are many. But when reflecting on that question, I think the opioid crisis and traffic.
Yeah.
And let's start off with the opioid situation, which has led many people to go from prescription drugs to the street. And as a result of that, our police department has done a magnificent job with regard to whatever tools they need, they get. They've been on the cutting edge of helping those people who get involved in this crisis. There's no doubt that education plays a big role in the opioid situation. But at the same time, I think local medi-centers could be a reason for a change in the crisis. I think our emergency rescue squad, as well as our fire department, are involved and will continue to be. And then because we have such close proximity to New Brunswick, I think Robert Wood Johnson Hospital, St. Peter's, and then south on 18, the Old Bridge Regional, would all come together to help this true challenge. Mm-hmm. And when I say traffic, it's almost as if traffic has gone not just from Route 18, but we see traffic on collateral roads throughout the township. And because we get so much traffic, there's so much wear and tear on the roads, the pothole situation becomes a problem. The mayor has been very progressive with regard to allocating about $1.6 million for roads in the township this past year. That covers somewhere between 8 and 10 miles. You're talking about maybe $400,000 per mile. The mayor is also able to secure $3.2 million from the county for next year. And I think we can take it to the next level and see what we can do with regard to grants from the DOT and even shared services with neighboring communities. So these are the challenges amongst other selected areas, but there's always challenges for the municipal government with regard to maintaining the great town we all live in.
Related to challenges is the future vision. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about the future?
Sure. I think the primary thing is the pocketbook of the taxpayer, and therefore the future, if we can have a 0% tax increase this year, and if we can do that next year, I think that's something that will carry over for years to come, because there is always going to be progressive, dynamic, exciting things happening on the part of the council and the mayor to project into the future. You can't just sit around and be stagnant and wait for things to happen. I think another area of the future would be, I'd like to see the town council meetings become a little bit more than just ordinance-related yes or no votes. I'd like to see, because we've seen a couple of groundswell movements here in town recently, I'd like to see more participation on the part of the town, coming to the meetings and voicing their concerns. I'd like to see some more transparency on the part of everyone so that everyone knows what's going on. We might even want to go back to the agenda meetings that are a couple of days before the regular council meeting so that the townspeople know exactly what we're talking about. But at the same time, they can ask as many questions as they want. And then one thing I haven't mentioned would be the redevelopment and the development of Route 18. The mayor has a great plan. Coming in are developers' ideas. The mayor and the council will be choosing exactly which path to go. So when I say that many people, we sort of all agree, not everyone, a lot of us agree that something has to be done along the Route 18 corridor. And then at the same time, some of the other vacant buildings, I think with regard to a little push by the part of the town council, because we might be getting some new faces on the council, whether it be Republicans or Democrats, and pushing in that direction.
Fair enough. And a follow-up, your philosophy of local government.
The philosophy. I think it goes back to Jefferson's writing that we have to, ensure the general welfare of everyone. Now, it may sound old school, or it may even sound lofty, but I think when it's philosophical, you can sit down and discuss with a lot of other members of the community who are proactive the direction that you want to go with regard to ensuring. And yes, East Brunswick is a great community, but it's also a community that can be even greater. And what I mean by that is services and keeping tax rates affordable. Angus, I'm at a point in my life where I just had a conversation with a couple of guys in my neighborhood. We're all the same age. Our kids grew up together, played Little League ball and soccer, went to Frost School, Hammersholt School, and we're all in that same, three of us are retired and one isn't. And just 2 days ago, a Joe, for lack of, I don't want to identify who the person is.
That's all right.
You're going to be retiring soon. What's going on? And the first thing out of his mouth is, I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere, Kevin. And I think that's the attitude of a lot of people in this town, is that they love the town so much that they're not leaving. They want to stay around. And that's where I'm at too. And so we have to be able to provide for those people who are not only beginning their lives, but also those people who are in that retirement arena, so that getting back to the general welfare is provided for everyone.
And follow-up question, why are you the best candidate for this position?
As you know, Angus, one of the greatest compliments that you can receive or give is when someone says to you, hey, Angus, after you did a program over at the university, hey, Angus, thanks a lot for your service to the university. Or vice versa, when you are able to say to someone, hey, thanks a lot for your service. It was during my own personal life, during transition from adolescence into young adulthood, when I first got turned on to then Senator running for President Bobby Kennedy. And as an adolescent, it was this transitional phase in my own life where I began to become aware of what service meant. And we didn't have the 24/7 news that we have today, or the media platforms. I remember we had U.S. News and World Report and Newsweek in the house. And again, I was 14 years of age, and I'm gravitating to that. And that's where I learned, as well as conversations with my father regarding, there's more to this than just you, Kevin. And when you can help others, it's key. So when I reflect on why I want to run, I get a great deal of pleasure helping others, and maybe even more so when you see the reaction to the person that you've just helped, whether it's this abundance of joy or even a tear coming down their cheek. It brings so much joy to me personally, and that's who I've been all my life. And so I'm back on the campaign trail as a town council person.
And finally, would you like to mention your family?
Sure. As I think you know, I'm married to my wife Donna. We started dating senior year in high school. We moved to East Brunswick in 1986 when our son Blaine was one year old. We only have one child. Blaine is now 33. He's married to Alexis, our daughter-in-law. We were just in. He works in New York City, lives in Brooklyn. We were just in this past weekend their lives are so consumed with their own personal life, and I understand the cycle of life that whenever we have the opportunity, whether it's a Tuesday to get on a train and have lunch with just Blaine, or if we go in on a Sunday for a brunch, it's truly enjoyable. So it's just Donna and I now at 32 Canterbury Road, and I have the time to put in to be a reliable, dependable, thoughtful councilman in town, I hope.
That's good. And is there anything else you'd like to add?
I'd like to add that it's not first person singular. There's a team of us. It's Jimmy Wendell, it's Sharon Sullivan, and it's myself. And I think with the three of us, even though Jimmy's the incumbent, we'll bring a breath of fresh air, which is always needed.
Yeah.
And so not only am I sort of pushing for the three of us, but I think it's very important to spread the message that everyone needs to know that they have to come out and vote.
Yeah.
And whether you're going to vote for the Democrat or the Republican, it's America. It's the cornerstone to our democracy. And looking forward to big numbers, which will send a message to me that East Brunswick cares when elections happen.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm here with Dhar Khona, and I'd like to start with the question, tell us a little bit about your personal connection to East Brunswick.
Well, I was fortunate enough to move to East Brunswick from Marlborough about 13 years ago. And I live here with my wife and my three children that I raised here. One of them currently doesn't live with me because he's studying at the United States Naval Academy, so he's down in Annapolis, Maryland.
Wow. Wow. And your own educational and professional background?
I grew up in Connecticut, so I studied at a private school in Trumbull, Connecticut called Christian Heritage. And after that, I went to Fairfield University, which is located in Fairfield, Connecticut. After which, from an educational point of view, I was done with my education at that point. I got into the customer service industry for a while, and I was working with back offices for a number of years when IT-enabled services started to take off. But for the last 13 years, I'm in the construction industry, a little bit more brick and mortar, which is a lot better for me, and I'm a project manager at a construction company right now.
Oh, cool. And your participation in local civic organizations?
I've been a volunteer for 11 years in town in a wide variety of areas, primarily focused on youth activities. I originally started getting involved as a coach with baseball with my son when he was 8 years old, and that just started to snowball. I ended up on the board at the East Brunswick Baseball League. I became the vice president of softball because I have two younger daughters, and after that they started getting involved in soccer, so I got involved in that program. And currently I'm a trustee with Fast Break Basketball Organization, where we have well over 1,000 kids in that program. But I'm also a class parent for my younger daughter at Central School. I'm also part of the United States Naval Academy New Jersey Parents Association, and I do a lot of activities with them. We go down to Annapolis, and every home game we feed 1,500 midshipmen.
Wow.
So that is a huge undertaking. I think it's valued at around $120,000. And the thing that I'm most proud of is the Republican Immigrant Organization that I helped found this year. It is an immigrant organization within, I don't want to say within the Republican Party, but a lot of members are Republicans. But what we want to do is we want to focus our energy on helping immigrants here in the United States.
That's good. That's good. What made you decide to run for public office this time?
This town has given me a lot. It really has. And I really have been for 11 years giving back. It's done so many things for my children. Clearly, as you can see, the educational system here has worked out so well for my son to be able to leave East Brunswick High School and go and be able to get into a premier institution like the U.S. Naval Academy. It's an opportunity for me to give back to the town. It's an opportunity for me to use my skill sets, which would benefit the town in many ways, coming from the construction industry.
And your goals for the position?
Goals are very simple.
Yeah.
Really want to make sure that we reinvigorate this development and redevelopment process in town. We want to work with existing businesses, whether they're owners of properties or existing businesses that have operations in East Brunswick, instead of pushing them out and forcing them, working with them to try to develop these areas, and also working with the development aspects and developers and their needs and their desires of putting apartment complexes in, but putting them in more meaningful areas. Those are the two areas I want to start with.
And the biggest challenges facing East Brunswick?
Well, among the biggest challenges, as I just mentioned, it's going to be construction, development, redevelopment, but the biggest challenge at the end of the day is quality of life. We really have to look at it in a comprehensive manner. We have to have a master plan that looks at different facets of all the things that we're doing, and it has to work well with each other. That includes traffic, so on and so forth.
And Dhar, what do you look for, envision for the future of East Brunswick?
East Brunswick has to grow into the future. But we've spent 156 years creating this town. I don't want to change the fabric of this town. I love what I found in this town, and the most important thing here is the people and what we've created. I don't want to change that, but I want to assist in bringing the township using newer technologies and resources that are available to us and bringing us into the future.
And can you describe your philosophy of government?
It's very simple. Government is a facilitator. We're not supposed to be bullies. We're not supposed to be decision makers on behalf of the town on major issues. We need to start reaching out to our people. We can't have a situation where we come up with a plan, throw it on paper, present it to the state, and then all of a sudden residents are putting signs up saying, I don't want apartment buildings, I don't want traffic. It means there's a serious disconnect between the people and government. Government is supposed to be for the people, not doing whatever it's doing today.
I see what you're saying. And why are you the best candidate for this office?
First and foremost, I'm trustworthy. I will never lie, and I will never, ever stop working for the township. I'm only here for one reason. I'm not here for a career. I'm not here for political gain. I'm just a resident who is perfectly happy volunteering as a coach for his kids. But I've seen this town going in a direction that I feel is unfair, and it's just not right. I've enjoyed so many things in this town. My children have benefited from various things in this town. I want to see that happen for generations to come.
And would you like to mention your family?
Sure. I've already mentioned my son, who's at the Naval Academy. My daughter is a sophomore in high school currently, and my youngest daughter is in the elementary school at Central School. She's in the 5th grade.
And finally, Dhar, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Very simply put, I love this town. I'm an immigrant. I moved here. I haven't lived here my whole life, but I love this place. A lot of people say that the school system is the biggest asset. It's not. It's a huge asset, but the biggest asset is the people. And right now, I'm living the American dream. That's what it's all about. I'm an immigrant. I grew up in a little village in India. I moved here, and here I'm sitting today running for town council. I would love the opportunity to show everyone how much I love this town and how hard I'm going to fight for it.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm here with Sharon Sullivan. Sharon, tell us a little bit about your personal background in East Brunswick.
I moved to East Brunswick 24 years ago. My children were 4 and 5. Both of them went through the East Brunswick public school system. Both of them graduated, went to college, and both are successful in the business world. One's an attorney, one's a CPA. And I've been involved in many different facets of volunteering in the community.
And tell us a little bit about your educational and professional background.
Okay, I graduated from Stockton State College, which is now Stockton University.
Down south.
Yes, and down in Pomona, New Jersey. Yeah. And I had majored in criminal justice, minored in business. I did an internship for the Department of Justice. Upon graduation, I was supposed to receive a job. However, Carter put a hold on it and Reagan cut it out.
Ooh.
Yes. So therefore, I ended up working for a consulting firm down there for a few years with the Department of Energy. And I did the monthly power plant reports. And during the gas crisis, we went out looking to make sure people weren't gouging gas. Then I moved to New York City area. I went back to New Jersey, and I worked for Merrill Lynch and other financial institutions.
Tell us about your participation in civic organizations.
Oh, okay. I'm on the domestic violence team. I've been there for 10 years, and if you know anything about domestic violence, unfortunately it doesn't sleep, so I got called. I'm called all times of the day and night. So therefore, if a town council, if we have a problem, I'm always going to be available. I've worked with the American Cancer Society. I was the chairperson of Relay for Life. I've also worked on their gala. We fundraised their last gala almost $500,000 for research. And I'm also volunteer at Alice's Cup, which is a food pantry.
Oh, you're very busy.
Yes, many hours of volunteering.
Why have you decided to run for public office?
Well, the timing's right. My children are out of the house. I'm able to work full-time at this. I think a town council person has to be full-time if allowed. I understand some people work, but I want to be your full-time council person. I want to be there for the residents. I want to hear their problems. And I also want to have office hours. And I feel that the timing is right.
And what are your goals for the position?
My goals for the position is, of course, to keep taxes as stable as possible. I know that with the Brad Cohen team, they have opened up 80 new businesses. I want to keep that going. Nothing would make me happier during my tenure if I'm elected to have no vacancy signs all through Route 18.
That'd be nice.
Yes. And I also want to establish a hotline with the Alliance for the Prevention of Drugs and Alcohol and work with them to have a hotline.
I've noticed a lot of vacancy signs out there on Route 18 in East Brunswick.
Yeah, nothing would make me happier to see them all filled. In fact, I've been to many ribbon cuttings, and I know that the owners that are coming into East Brunswick now have their heart and soul in this township. And in fact, many of them even live here.
That's good. And what are the biggest challenges that you see for East Brunswick right now?
The biggest challenges is we need to listen more to the residents.
Okay.
We need to make sure we understand what we want. I'm a resident too, and we need to understand what all of us want, and we have to learn to all work together to get it. And I appreciate all the grassroots stuff that's going on with the developments.
I see. And what do you envision for the future of East Brunswick?
For the future, I want to keep taxes stable. I want to work to provide fiscal responsibility and continue with the quality of services we have. I want to see, like I said before, more businesses opened. I want to see a freestanding, self-sustained recreation building for everybody to use. And I want to be the voice. I want the residents to be heard.
Very interesting. And can you describe your philosophy of government?
Okay. My philosophy of government is to listen to the residents.
Yeah.
That's so important. Make myself available to the residents. Because I could get up there, I could get on the town council, and if I'm not listening to everybody, then that doesn't serve a purpose at all. You need to listen and be respectful for everybody. I think that's important. And also, I want to have office hours, and during those office hours, I want to make sure all the problems are addressed by the appropriate people and they get answers to their questions.
I see.
I want to make sure I follow through.
That's good. And as a follow-up question, why are you the best candidate for this office?
Okay. I think my team of the Wendell, Sullivan, and McAvoy are the best team.
Yeah, okay.
I think that we all mesh together. We each bring something else to the table to make us the best group.
A moment ago, you mentioned your offspring. Is there anything more you'd like to tell us about your family?
I'm married for 31 years happily, and we like to travel. We also like to have discussions. I'm very much into family time, even though my children, one child lives in North Carolina, and the other one lives in Jersey City. We still try to get together.
Yeah. Sharon, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yes, I want to remind everybody, it's your civic duty to go out and vote on November 6th and vote for column A of the McAvoy, Sullivan, Wendell team. Remember, I want to be your voice, a voice for all. I want you to vote for me. I want your vote, Sharon Sullivan, for town council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I'm here with Curt Philipczak, and he's a candidate for town council. Curt, tell us a little bit about your personal background here in East Brunswick.
Oh, sure. Thank you very much for doing all this. I think I start off as a Hudson County kid. I'm originally from Bayonne. And I was fortunate to meet and marry a Staten Island girl. So we're fortunate to get married, and we're looking for a place to live, and this is 18 years ago. So I'm fortunate that we found East Brunswick. I'll tell you the truth that our school systems really did attract us to this area. We're fortunate to have 2 children. We've been blessed with 2 children. They attended the public schools since kindergarten. One's in Hammersholt, the other was in Churchill. I've been on your Board of Education for 6 years, and we are parishioners at St. Bart's. I'm an active in the parish. I'm lucky to be a CCD teacher there, and I'm a member of the council and the assembly in the Knights of Columbus.
And your own educational and professional background?
I graduated, which was then St. Peter's College in Jersey City. It's the university now. I graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in business with a concentration of accounting. My work experience is generally public accounting. I worked for large, small firms until I realized I wanted to do my own practice. I've been fortunate to be running my own practice for about 20 years now.
Wow.
And I have a general practice. It's tax, small to medium-sized firms. It's basic bookkeeping and the level of accounting, whatever my client needs. I do carry professional licenses. I do have, in the state of New Jersey, a certified public accountant license.
Wow.
I have a PSA license, which is the public school accountant license. It's the license that you need for the school board to actually have their financial statements presented to the public. You also need a CPA plus a PSA.
Wow.
I'm also a CGMA, which is a Chartered Global Management Accountant. I felt that it was a good idea of my management skills to add that to my practice. I do have professional memberships also. I'm a member of the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. I'm a member of the New York State Society of CPAs, and fortunate to work as the director, a past director and treasurer of the Staten Island chapter. I'm a member of the New Jersey State Society of CPAs, and I'm proud to be the past president of the Middlesex Somerset chapter, and I was former vice president of the State Society itself in Roseland.
Very impressive.
Thank you.
Your participation in civic organizations.
Well, my wife and I are PTA members, and
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's a specific organization, but we're very proud to be marching band parents.
Good.
Our daughter is involved in the color guard, and she enjoys it very much. I'm a president of a homeowners association. I'm a treasurer of a local Girl Scout troop, 80162. I'm the assistant scoutmaster for 223 in East Brunswick, a district chair, vice chair of fund development for the Middlesex district of the Monmouth Council for the Boy Scouts of America. I've been told that you wear a lot of hats when you're involved in Boy Scouts.
Sure, of course. And why did you decide to run for public office?
My first experience with public office is, of course, on the Board of Education. And it piqued my interest in safety issues with our children. The upgrading of the vestibules in our schools, the hiring of security guards, other issues of buildings and grounds, and the issue of construction for Memorial at the time. And shared services related to finances related to the township. While I was on the board, I chaired Policy and Finance Committee. I enjoyed serving on the Buildings and Grounds Committee, community programs, and being a liaison to the East Brunswick Education Foundation. They do wonderful work in our school system. All these areas piqued an interest in a township function with our community. And I felt this was a good time for me to use this experience to be a candidate for town council.
Fair enough. And what are your goals for the position?
My goals are not so much number-wise. I don't want to raise something 2% or cut something 3%. My goals are more personal and communicative.
Okay.
My goals are to be the advocate for the residents of East Brunswick. I want to help the township to be as effective and as efficient as it can be. I hope to be able to strengthen and contribute to the budget process with total transparency for the residents and the property owners of East Brunswick.
And the biggest challenges that you see for East Brunswick at the present time?
I don't think it's any secret that it's development and redevelopment in our area. In the redevelopment, the proposed East Brunswick redevelopment between going south, between Eggers and Ferris Street, seems to be a very ambitious project. I understand there's a number of developers interested in the property. It's been my experience that with developers, the township could propose anything they'd like to, but the developer is going to come in and make his proposal of property. I think that I'd like to hear a proposal by a developer and then see a specific proposal to work with all the shareholders in our whole community. All the property owners in East Brunswick should have their locations and their properties respected. That's why I'm not in favor of eminent domain and condemnation in this area. We shouldn't threaten anyone with eviction for the idea of a larger development. Summerhill and Harts Lane development, we simply have to do better.
And related to that, your vision for the future of East Brunswick?
My vision for East Brunswick is a safe town, a vibrant, growing business, continued great schools, and hopefully a revision of the whole 18. That's my vision, hopefully.
And how would you describe your philosophy of government?
My philosophy in the idea of government, if you go on your website and look on East Brunswick, you'll see a history of the council, and you'll see council powers and responsibilities, and it's roughly about 4 or 5 pages. But if you really want the details, you could go to the code of East Brunswick and explains everything in detail. It's roughly about 1,382 pages. This is similar to, if I could explain, everybody says that the government should be run like a business. And roughly, the mayor would probably be a president of a company. The company would probably have a board of directors, which I see it as being on town council. And the shareholders are really the taxpayers. In the structure of our business, the mayor really does appoint some of the people in the committees. But your town council is picked by election. And that's very important here. The mayor, we need balances. I'll tell you that I'll perform my duties as town council with independence, professional skepticism, total independence, and I'll do my due diligence in every level.
Well, I think, having said that, let me follow up, but it's closely related. Why are you the best candidate?
Oh, thank you. I work well, I believe, with people in business and financial situations. I believe I'm approachable. I believe I can talk to people, and I'm a good listener. I think I conduct myself in a professional manner. Some candidates say that they support the mayor, and I'd like to think that I support good ideas. And I think good ideas could come from anywhere. They could come from the mayor, and they could come from town council, and they could come from the public. What makes me a good candidate is that I believe I work with people with different opinions. I actually worked with Kevin McAvoy and the Mayor Cohen while we were on the Board of Education. I worked with Mr. Cohen, Dr. Cohen, for 6 years while we were on the board. I supported the mayor when he had a desire to be the president of the board. I enjoyed being the finance chair at that time. Did we always agree? No, we didn't. But we got the job done, made the schools the best they can be, and I'd like to have that same chance on town council.
You mentioned your family before, but was there anything you'd like to add about your family?
Only thing that I'd like to mention that I appreciate Donna's support, and I do have 2 children that are 14 and 12, and they're enjoying our school system.
And finally, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I'd like to thank Yurt for being here and doing the time that you have. I'd like to thank EBTV. I'd like to thank the library for putting all the profiles together. I need to thank my family, and I especially need to thank my wife. Campaigning takes a considerable amount of your time. The simple fact that we both have careers and we're both working, raising 2 children, and finding the time to do my campaigning and everything else involved speaks well for my commitment and my wife's commitment for this election. Simply, I couldn't have done it without her support. I'm asking the residents to support myself, my running mates, Camille and Dhar Khona. For whoever you want to vote for, please vote on November 6th.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I'm here with Jim Wendell. Jim, tell us a little bit about your personal background in East Brunswick.
Sure. Thanks, Angus.
Yeah.
Well, I've been a councilman here in East Brunswick for the past 8 years. Been a lifetime resident. My parents still live on Reeve Avenue, same house that they bought when we moved to town back in 1970. Been involved in various nonprofits and volunteer organizations. I have 2 young boys. I say young, 19 and 26. I guess at 25, that's not really young anymore. But my youngest is in college. My oldest works at J.P. Morgan and is a homeowner in East Brunswick. My wife, Barbara, is a school teacher. And, born and bred East Brunswick and live and die East Brunswick. I mean, green and white all the way through.
And tell us about your educational and professional background.
Well, education, I mean, as you could probably imagine there, I'm a product of the East Brunswick school system. Probably went to more schools in East Brunswick than many other people. I started at McGinnis, went to Weber School, then I went to Lawrence Brook, Churchill, the high school, and then on to the rest of the life after that. And I just ended up getting into the construction business after years of doing other things. And right now I'm vice president of development and construction for a national developer. Been in that position on and off with different developers for the past 5 to 7 years. Been working in the Jersey area for most of my professional life, and now my life takes me on a little bit of travels. I go to Omaha and Lansing, Michigan, and Boston, but primarily we try to keep everything close to home.
So it's a national developer.
National developer. Yeah. Roots in Atlanta, Dallas, and Stamford, Connecticut.
Wow. Tell us about your participation in local civic organizations.
That's kind of what takes up all my time. Aside from everything that we do with town council and all the time I put in there, I've been on the board of the St. Bart's Buffaloes football and cheer for the past 20 years. Wow. No kids involved, but still do it. And I've been serving as president there for the past 8 years. I've been a fireman in town for both the Brookview Volunteer Fire Company many years ago and the Old Bridge Volunteer Fire Company here in East Brunswick. I coached baseball when I was 18, joined the fire company back then, and flash forward to now, ran the youth lacrosse club in town, the Blackhawks, for many years as their president, and then got involved with the high school athletics. I also danced in the first annual Dancing with the Stars here for the East Brunswick Education Foundation for East Brunswick, where I came in second, didn't win, but we made $50,000 that night. So
congratulations.
That was good money for the kids of East Brunswick.
Good thing to do.
Yeah.
Now, 8 years ago, you first ran for town council. Turning the clock back, what made you decide to run for office back then?
I could tell you exactly what made me do it. I was standing at lacrosse practice, and we're just yapping away with a friend of mine, and he says, you should get involved in politics. And I was like, nah. And, from there, I went home, told my wife, and she said, you need something else to do. And I said, I need that like a hole in the head. But You know, I actually ran, first time I ran I was unsuccessful, which was 10 years ago. 8 years ago we were elected, and you know, haven't looked back ever since.
And what are your goals for the position looking ahead?
Well, I mean, you know, it's actually exciting to say that, and exciting to talk about, because if you think about, I've been on council for 8 years. We've done a lot of things. We've had, in my tenure, 2 zero budgets, paved a lot of roads, put in a lot of new infrastructure in town, and upgraded a lot of different things. But it wasn't until the past 2 years when Mayor Cohen got elected that he and I seemed to align very, very well on a lot of the same things, and we were able to start kicking some things into gear, especially in regards to the blighted and vacant properties on 18. You know, while you can maybe get a feeling that we're in our infancy, things are going to start happening fast, and it's exciting because we've been losing $40 million of revenue, of ratables rather, on those properties every year. And you know, that translates to a lot of tax revenue that's now burdened on the residents of town rather than the commercial properties.
Other than the vacancies on Route 18, what are the biggest challenges facing East Brunswick at the present time?
Well, continuing to keep our infrastructure on track, and as we did last year, we paved over 8 miles of roads, and you know, couple that with the commitments that the county and the state have made to us, you know, that number's far going to exceed 8 miles. You know, plus the fact that we just returfed Heavenly Farms, put down new turf field. Now, those fields have been sitting there for almost 15 years. I say sitting, they're getting used constantly. And, you know, it's nice to see that we do all this, and do all it with a zero tax increase this year is a tremendous thing to do. What we need to do now is continue to grow the rateable base with the properties on 18, and we're going to see some really dynamic things coming.
Other than growing the ratables, what do you see for the future for the township?
Well, I see, you know, continuing to make it a community-based township. You know, we're a very inclusive town, got a lot of different ethnicities, and everybody seems to get along very well. We don't seem to have any problems, and I see that the future is going to continue to grow from all different ethnicities and all different backgrounds, and make East Brunswick the melting pot that it is. And yeah, when you see an East Brunswick Day, or when we have our arts festival and farm market, and you see the thousands of people that show up, or when you come out to 4th of July, that's the future of East Brunswick. The residents getting together, the residents coming together to participate in community activities.
And Jim, what's your philosophy of government?
My philosophy of government, local government, do as much as you can with as little as you can, you know, and I think we're doing that. You know, Mayor Cohen has really got a great philosophy in regard to these things. He's saving money on health care and places where we didn't seem to find money. We're putting people back on the rolls, hiring more employees rather than scaling down the township you know, staff, so we can continue to grow. But I truly believe that a municipal government should provide the best services and not get in anybody's way. And for a number of years, we couldn't get out of our own way. So.
And Jim, why are you the best candidate for the office?
Well, I'm the best candidate, number one, because I'm probably the oldest, not oldest in age, but
in terms of service.
longest resident of town. I'm probably the most dedicated. I'm probably the one who you can see out in the streets more than anybody else, because there isn't a night that I'm not out doing something. I mean, my wife and I just cross paths, and you know, for that reason, because a local politician is somebody you should be able to reach out to and touch, and I'm that guy. Plus the fact that this election is going to be predicated on who can do something with Route 18, who can make Route 18 something we're proud of. And I'm the only person running that has experience in redevelopment. And as can be seen, since we formed our redevelopment agency 14 months ago, we've got more done than many other municipalities could have gotten done in that period of time. We brought 50 developers to the table to an informative session to hear and ask questions about the redevelopment zones. So we must be doing something right. People from outside of East Brunswick are actually looking at this. People from all around the state and all around the tri-state area are looking at this. So I think we're doing very, very well, and I think that is the key to this election.
Jim, a few moments ago, you mentioned your family. Is there anything else you'd like to say about your family?
Well, I mean, you know, it's my dad, who's still living on Riva Avenue, that moved here in 1970 with my mom, and it's my dad who's the kind of guy I emulated. He was involved in everything. He was my hero, I guess, and you know, I'm not saying I've gone farther than him, but he should have been a politician. He should have been involved in politics because he was always involved in something, and you know, because of him and my kids and my wife, who always allowed me the time to do everything. And I say the time to do the sports and, you know, all of these other activities, which made me a community staple, I think, made me a very, very identifiable person, along with the red hair, I think, but made me very identifiable to people and approachable. So, I mean, it's because of my family below me, you know, my kids and my parents that formed me to be who I am. So
Understood.
yeah.
And Jim, finally, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think we have a great team. You know, Wendell, Sullivan, and McAvoy. Kevin McAvoy's been around for a lot of years. Sharon Sullivan's been around for a lot of years. I mean, everybody knows Mr. Mack from the high school, and he did a great job as mayor for the short period of time. And I don't think there's a better team this year to step in and work with Mayor Cohen to continue moving East Brunswick in the right direction.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much,
Okay.
Angus.
The Township Council candidate profiles will be rerun on EBTV until the election. The profiles will also stream on the EBTV website and be available as video on demand. Just go to www.ebtv.org. Election Day is Tuesday, November 6th. Polls are open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. If you don't know where to vote, call the municipal clerk's office at 732-390-6850. For EBTV, I'm Angus Kress Gillespie. Thanks for watching.